laughing and chasing it in circles. And as they see you approach, they exchange glances and they try to stand at attention in front of the gate. But you can tell that they're stifling giggles and laughs as you come up. The flying creature flies over towards the wall and perches on it. As you get closer still, you identify the creature itself as a very tiny dragon with butterfly's wings.
Birdie goes, "Oh my god!" It is...
It's a dragonfly.
And
I think it's a fly dragon.
One of the children calls out in his best "I'm a big important boy" voice, speaking in Draconic. He yells, "Hail! Well met, visitors."
Birdie goes, "Sup?"
It says sup.
Yep.
All right, there goes all Birdie's experience for this session, flushing all of it.
Raazu shoves Birdie behind her again, and responds in turn also in Draconic.
It says,
"I'm told we are expected."
The two kids exchange glances, and one of them tries and fails to stifle laughter. They both look back at you. The boy who spoke before says, "If you were told that you were expected, then it must be true. You must be expected."
Yes.
The other one's a little girl, and she asks, and it's difficult to understand what she's saying because she's saying it through bursts of laughter. She asks, "Who is expecting you?"
You're expected by the Glimmering King.
Can you guys hear my dog growling really loudly right now?
Yes.
I heard a bork
bit.
earlier.
No. I just kind of... I can't hear that frequency of dog growls because of our... Otherwise my life would be miserable.
He's got a little spot back behind my TV where he likes to go. And recently Rydia has also discovered that spot, so he's no longer safe out there. So I'm going to take 2 minutes and fish Rydia out and go put her in her playpen. I'll be right back.
Where is the Chupacabra?
Wait, what?
Okay, I'm good. Our Chupacabra was wrapped up in a blanket on the couch.
Oh, you meant your cat. I was like,
No, Chupacabra, the dog.
oh, okay. What is it? A little hairless dog?
No, not quite. A little. It's a Chupacabra. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it as Chupacabra.
All right, sorry about the interruption, but dogs got to be dogs.
Dog's gonna dog.
So they ask you who's expecting you. You replied, "The Great Glimmer." The little girl then blurts out, as though she was told not to ask this, but just could not help herself. She just blurts out, "Which one of you died?"
Birdie points
Big
at...
one.
Everybody in the group points at Raazu.
Red.
Raazu raises her hand sheepishly.
Adrex totally does.
The little girl, and these two children both resemble the girl that you met down in the cave system. But instead of being dressed for travel, they're dressed in essentially children's finery. They each have heavy cloaks to guard against the cold, but fur-lined on the inside. They both have heavy boots. They're both wearing gloves. They look like they've been outfit very well. The little girl's eyes get real wide. She asks, "What was that like?"
Indescribable.
The boy puffs out his chest and says, "I'm never going to die."
Wait, just to clarify, they look like the little girl bones left in the dragon's den.
They're not like identical copies of her, but yeah, they look like the same race.
Like
of
we don't have a Children of the Corn situation going on here.
We didn't leave her bones. Wendy grabbed them.
Yeah, to be clear, we did not leave our bones behind.
How do you plan on doing that?
And he says it's because he's very tough and brave.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very tough and brave. I didn't
And the
didn't
boy
stop death from catching up for a while.
the boy shrugs and says, "Not tough and brave enough."
I mean, he's got you there, Raazu.
Raazu sets her teeth. And then just she takes a deep breath and then just she's not gonna fight it. She's not gonna argue.
Somebody give me an insight check. I'll let the group have one check here.
Let me do this one, guys.
Okay.
You got it.
And the
Gee,
children
okay.
continue to inundate you with questions. They ask what kind of wind Adrex is able to blow out of his mouth. They ask all manner of questions about the glowing gems that Birdie's carrying. Like, they want to see all the different colors and shapes and cuts of them. They ask about all of Wendy's weapons, and they want to know the story about all of them. How'd you do on that insight, Red?
Well, that 2 becomes a 10, so that's a 21.
These children are not guarding this gateway. They're just precocious children that will sit here delaying you all day long if you let them.
So
I don't share that with the group.
Birdie looks at the kids and goes, "So I have it on pretty good authority that you might not be real." And he walks up and he says, he looks at him, he like squints at one of them.
Which one, the boy or the girl?
The boy. He squints
Boy.
at him. He says, I was told you might not be real.
The boy takes a step back to the wall itself, where you see now laying on the ground. Not laying on the ground, leaning up against the doorway, is a small wooden sword made out of some kind of beautiful black wood with a gilded hilt. And he snatches it up. And it's pretty much no bigger than a dagger. It's made for child size. And he squares off with you. He assumes a fencing stance. And he says, "I'm real enough. You care to try me?" With which the girl clasps her hands together and squeals with glee.
Birdie doesn't know what Birdie looks. He kind of stops.
Red pulls his rapier off his
Raazu.
back and hands it to Birdie.
Like the
Raazu.
rapier.
Raazu nudges Birdie and says, "Well, 2 arms then."
Well, like Birdie motions at Wendy and asks for that little training sword.
And Wendy will take it out.
And I'll square off with the kid.
And when he sees it, his hand opens up and his wooden sword clatters to his feet. The little children get looks of surprise and shock on their face. And the girl cries out, "Where did you find that?"
I'll tell you a story.
What do you tell them?
I go through the entire story of how we met the girl and everything they did, and all the way up until the end, including the part where I saw that the dude had done this with a bunch of other little girls for like hundreds of years, getting them all killed.
Did you tell the part where you walk up to a black dragon and upended the sack of her bones in front of him?
No, I skipped that part.
Okay. The children listen to the
That's past the
story
ending.
with a focus that you have never seen in children before. Like, they're not listening as though you're telling them a fun and inventive story that's meant to entertain them. They're listening because seems like they understand instinctively this is very important information that they need to retain. When the story is done, the little girl walks up and clasps Wendy's hand and begins tugging on her cloak. And she begins apologizes for detaining you for so long and tells her that you must come and speak with Father right away.
These are human children?
They're
Elven
human-ish,
children?
but they also have very elven features.
Okay.
All right.
Like Birdie is convinced they're baby dragons, just disguised as humans. Also, Birdie grabs Wendy's hand and says, "Please, please, 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 do not anger the scary thing that we're going to go speak with
And
by
the
throwing
children
bones at it.
immediately correct you and tell you that Father is loving and kind and not scary at all.
And Birdie looks at Wendy and says, please, 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 please,
Birdie, would I
Raazu,
ever dream
please,
of angering someone?
please. He goes, I'm
Raazu-
begging you. Birdie gets on his knees and says, I am on my knees right now. Please.
I can't tell. Birdie, where'd you go?
Raazu turns to Birdie, picks him up, dusts the snow off of him, then holds him by the collar of his shirt, looks dead in the eyes, and says, "Yes, Birdie, please, 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 don't anger this guy."
And Wendy bends down towards the children and just says, "You can pay me back for delaying us by making sure you don't forget that story or the little girl."
They become very interested as they lead you in through the gateway towards the hill. They become very interested in a lot of the details of the story that you told them. Like, they want to know all kinds of things. And when you start telling about how you fight monsters and collect treasure, they start asking you about what kinds of people have you helped? What kind of lands have you... what kind of villains have you vanquished? They lead you
And Wendy will go into it.
They lead you in through a doorway in the side of the hill. A metal door that human size. You guys, none of you have to stoop or squeeze through. That the boy child opens fairly easily. And on the other side, where you might expect like a dimly lit or dank cave in the base of this stone hill, is instead a very brightly lit corridor like you would see in a fine manor. Well lit with candelabras. And there are doors in the complex leading to various rooms. They lead you straight up the middle into a great hall with a great sweeping staircase spiraling upward in the center around a center column. Now Edgar wants to get back in this room. Well, come on.
He's just seeking attention from Rydia.
No, Riddy is locked up in her playpen in the living room. She can't get to him now.
What Brick Road can't see is Destil's cat is on his keyboard spamming chat.
It's really funny.
Oh, hey. I hadn't been watching that part of the window.
Not that important.
You climb up
Yeah,
the
but-
spiral staircase, and it looks almost impossibly high as you look up it. But as you begin climbing it, the children have no difficulty. And you realize that you're not becoming fatigued at all climbing these stairs. Each time you lift one of your feet to take the next step, it's as though the next stair lowers down to meet you. And you feel like these stairs are no more difficult than moving on even ground, or perhaps even downhill. And it's almost a pleasant trip up this long sweeping staircase as you look at the great hall around you, this long cylindrical room adorned with hundreds of years of artwork, tapestries, all different colors, makes, shapes. You see the sigils of noble houses long forgotten. You see great maps of lands that you're familiar with and other lands that you've never seen. You see sea charts of the oceans that you've sailed with Captain Eyes. You see great magical diagrams, some symbols you've come to recognize over the years, some that you haven't. And these are all adorning this long shaft going upward. At the top of the shaft is a circular door in the ceiling. And the boy child looks at Adrex, and he hops like he's trying to grab for it. He says, "I'm not tall enough to reach this. Can you hoist me up?"
Adrex happily obliges.
And he cries with delight as you reach him up, and he grabs this door, and you can tell he puts all his strength into throwing it open. And you hear the door whap on the other side as this trap door opens. A few moments
Good
later,
work.
you hear the sounds of other children up above you, and several of them come over in your direction. And one of them throws down a ladder onto the landing of the stairs where you're standing. It's only about a 10-foot climb up and out of this hole.
Start up the ladder.
And you climb out into a beautiful courtyard filled with flowers and maybe 2 or 3 dozen children tending to the gardens and chasing each other around and playing in the area. The garden encompasses the entire center of this map. And the trapdoor that you came out of is at the very center itself, kind of on this raised dais of white stone. Off to your left, you see where the huge rocky crag on the top of the hill sits. There are two openings leading into the side of it. The two ruined towers are off to your right. There's no entrances at the base level, but you see these great, very well-maintained bridges leading from a higher level of the rocky crag over to the first tower, and then a higher level still from the first tower leading to the second. And the girl is bringing you over to this entrance here, still kind of tugging on Wendy's cloak.
Raazu at this point is guarded, but she's not tense, like she's not ready to kick someone's ass. She's just kind of it's something just kind of raising her hackles just a little bit. But she will head along. I'm guessing
as you
Wendy
follow
is
along
there
with
too.
her, you notice there's no sign of snowfall on the top of this hill. And you also notice that the sun is directly overhead, although it was not midday when you arrived at the hill. The sun is in a different position now than it was. She brings you into this large, would be a cavern, you would expect, like a bear cave or something, but it's much more hospitable than that. As you enter, it's more like a waiting room or antechamber, where there's carpeted floor, there's sofas to see, sofas to recline on, one of which Birdie recognizes. You see a hearth against one wall that has not been lit. The girl motions to the opening of this hallway and tells you there are guest chambers that they will have prepared for you. And then she asks what you will have to break your fast.
What have you got?
She asks what you desire.
I'd like to see your kitchens.
Eggs. Over easy.
Ooh, egg sounds good.
And she rattles off all the different kinds of eggs that she can serve.
Preferably something from a bird, something, weighing about 50 pounds. I don't know what kind you have up here.
Like the egg weighs 50 pounds or the bird?
No, the bird weighs 50 pounds.
Fish.
Raazu wants fish. What does Adrex want?
Give me a moment. I want to think of something that would be pure eggs.
Wendy,
Birdie's.
the little girl turns to you after she hears what everybody else wants to eat. She says that she will ask her father if you can be admitted into the kitchens. And she doesn't say this apologetically. She says this with great enthusiasm. Like this is something she definitely expects Daddy to say yes, and that she's going to be the one that gets you go in there and give you the tour.
Thank you.
Yeah, she motions to the antechamber that you all are standing in, as well as the sleeping quarters behind you along this hallway, which you notice does slope upwards a little bit. It has landings every few feet with another door on the side leading off to another room.
Peanut butter and jelly.
Very good. She tells you that beyond the halls, beyond the sleeping quarters, you will find a bathing room with fresh water that can be used for drinking, bathing, cleaning, whatever you need. The water is continuously fresh and never soils.
Roz is immediately on that.
That seems really goopy, Adrex. What do you do with it?
Birdie asks, do you guys actually have 50-pound eggs?
When you put the peanut butter on one slice of bread.
Oh, there's bread.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Over the course of the next
Mix the two together? Oh,
I just
I'm
honestly,
civilized.
as you guys are waiting for your food to arrive, more servant children come in and ask specialized tasks. If you need your armor tended to, if you need clothing laundered. You don't have any mounts that need seeing to. I guess Adrex might count, but one of them asks if they can bring you up a keg of wine. And these questions become more and more almost abstract. One of them comes up and asks what you'd like to read. One of them comes up and asks what color and fragrance you would like in the fire. And the questions get more and more bizarre, but all of these children coming up, first of all, seem very enthusiastic to meet you, and second of all, seem very eager to make your stay as pleasant and comfortable as they possibly can.
Do you know
Raazu,
anything about
absolutely.
the long-term care of cats?
Do you bring the cat out of your pack?
Yeah.
And these children fawn over this cat. And one of them offers to take Kitty from you to...
Oh, they wouldn't like that.
This cat absolutely doesn't like being handed over to these children.
Do you have
I'm
a
not
sleeping
handing it to the
draft?
children.
Like a
What-
cat-sized sleeping draft.
Raazu is taking advantage of the baths, the wine, the kids tending to her armor, everything. Raazu is reveling in it, basically.
Hey, kids, what have you been told that you can provide for us?
And it seems like every child has a different specialty. And it's pretty much anything you can imagine. And a lot of services that you've probably never heard of before. One of the children is very learned in even things as abstract as economics and money changing. One of them offers to bring you books and scrolls to read. One of them offers to play a variety of instruments. Several of them know how to sing or dance. They're here for your entertainment, edification. Very pointedly, none of them offer you any, shall we say, pillow house favors.
Oh, come on, Brick Road.
Brick Road.
You asked, what can they provide? I'm telling you that nobody offers that.
Yeah, Wendy asked us to bring her everything that they have on magical healing.
They ask for clarification if you require magical healing.
Yeah, I could use some new eyes. Also, my feathers fell out.
They were burned
I've got
out.
her eyes right here.
To
If you
those
can,
kinds of
you can put them back in. Maybe that.
Yeah,
would be
we've
a
got
big help.
them.
to those kinds of requests, again, they don't apologize, but they very enthusiastically tell you that's the sort of thing they're going to have to speak with their father about.
Yeah, sure.
However, they do bring, if needed, I guess several healing potions, which can be used to restore hit points. That would be common enough for them to have access to.
Can I get components for poison making?
Very
I'm not going to ask the
point-
kids to bring me poisons, but
very pointedly not.
okay.
And the child that you ask of this,
I don't ask them for I don't say components for poison making. I list the things that I might need.
and as you list these components, I mean, you see the recognition on the child's face. Like, he knows what you're
Okay.
asking for and why. And he smiles like, yeah, this would be a lot of fun, but Dad says I can't.
Well, okay, I need any books or treaties or scrolls you have on political.
And all of this is brought to you. The food is brought to you. A large cushion is brought for the cat to recline on. Very expertly cooked fish, eggs, and all of you are made very comfortable. Who's letting their guard down besides Raazu?
Birdie is very, very, because he's still convinced these are all dragons. Like,
I have questions before I decide on that.
Okay.
How many children are there here? Does it seem like hundreds of children? Like, and there's just different children coming up every single time?
It's about two or
Jonathan?
three dozen in total, and each one seems to
Okay.
have a different speciality.
How long have we been here at this point? And has the sun moved at all?
You've been here only about 20 or 30 minutes before you
20,
make all
30
these
minutes,
inquiries, and
okay.
the food is brought down. Raazu gets a bath going, and no, the sun has not moved.
I don't think Red's gonna worry about. Like Red, will be reasonably off guard. Hey, Adrex, I think they sprung for butter on these eggs.
Hey,
The
sorry,
eggs
my
are
headset.
massive. You requested a 50-pound egg, and they did not disappoint.
Requested an egg from a 50-pound bird, but okay.
There are slabs of great meats. There's all different kinds of slatherings for your bread, 2 different varieties of peanut butter, a lot of... I mean, nobody appreciates jam like Eric appreciated jam, but...
So Birdie like nonchalantly looks at one of the kids and says, "So, what's your favorite kind of dragon?"
Got him. Nailed it, Birdie.
Well, I tried asking the other little girl what kind of dragon she was, and she didn't answer me.
Who are you asking? Like, what child are you asking particularly?
I don't know.
Well,
I can't tell them apart.
You can. Each one has they're each offering different things. Like, are you asking the child who's bringing up the books? Are you asking the child who is taking your laundry? Are you asking the child who is singing and telling stories? Like,
Well, I'll ask Laundry Child.
okay, as he's gathering up your giant hat, and
No. The hat stays.
he really would like to wash your hat.
No.
Maybe you could wash it while it's on him, and maybe at the same time wash our kobold.
Birdie looks incredibly hurt by that insinuation.
It's because of the hat, Birdie. I just don't want the hat to leave you.
So you ask him what is his favorite dragon,
Right. What's your favorite kind of dragon?
and he tells you his father is, of course. The only other dragons, all the other dragons, he says, are evil, ferocious, and mean. And he tells you what he's heard of the Ice King far off in the west, and of the black dragon that inhabits the mines far off to the south, near to the cliffs.
I have it a good authority that the Ice King sucks.
Raazu.
Birdie kind of gets incredibly nervous. Like, he's like drumming his fingers together, and he goes, so... Dragon, huh, okay. No, you can't have my hat. And he turns around and flees.
Raazu, what are you doing up here? When you come up in this room, first of all, there's a great window that opens out over the courtyard, but you've ascended about 20 feet, all told.
Is this where the bats were that they directed?
Yes, the entire back of this room is a large... It looks to your eyes like a natural spring bubbling up from below, but it is the clearest water you've seen, and it gets deeper and deeper the further back you go, to the point where you're sure if you marched back far enough, it'd be well over your head.
Okay.
Nearby
are there children about?
There are, if you want them to be.
Okay.
Nearby there are flasks, tankards, and ladles, so you can get water out of the spring to refresh yourself to drink. There's all manner of cleaning supplies in the area. There's scrub boards and brushes, big wooden buckets, everything you could need to clean yourself, your armaments, your armor, everything.
So if the children are willing, Raazu is absolutely going to take advantage of their services and let them clean and maintain her armor while she bathes.
One of the little girls knows how to cut hair, but she's never worked a hobgoblin before.
It's not too much different from humans, as near as I can tell.
Well, she points out that it's all over your face and arms, and
Oh, well, I don't think of that as hair.
looking off in this direction, there's a more steep stairwell leading upwards, ending at another one of these metal doors. These silver doors emblazoned with the burning heart.
Raazu describes she describes to one of the children the Moakton village of Aserafall and the herb that they grow for smoking there. And
Are you
do you
requesting
have
some?
anything like that around here? Yeah. Do you have anything like that about?
The girl that you're speaking to doesn't, but she runs and fetches one of her brothers, who not only knows of Aserafall, he also knows how to speak the Moakton tongue, and he knows exactly of the ooks that you speak of.
The Raazu's absolutely continues speaking in Moakton with him at that point.
And he speaks it far more expertly than you do. And he
But
tells
no,
you,
this
like,
Raazu-
you're aware this can be a powerful hallucinogen.
That's perfectly fine.
And yeah, he absolutely brings you some. Is anybody doing anything else in Wizard's Folly over the course of the next few hours? Let's go ahead and get some actions down if people want to do stuff.
Once Raazu's done... Oh, God.
It's going to be a little while before Granddaddy calls for you. Also, this map comes from trivialhit.com, I guess.
Yeah, I saw that. Once Raazu's done with her bath, she's going to retire to the common area and just kind of relax. and take a pipe.
He put her feet up, let two of the children file her toenails down.
A little bit.
What's Red doing over the course of the next few hours after his belly is full and...
Red is going to... How do you even flip a pound egg? Red is going to spend the time carefully going through all of his own equipment, doing maintenance. He's not going to actually have the children do it, but he's going to have them bring, like, oils and whatnot to go over daggers and everything like that. Clean out his pack really well. Try and come up with some sort of solution for making a space in the pack that's specifically for the cat, and not that the cat just runs around wherever it wants.
At this point, you're never going to get the smell completely out. What is Windy doing during this time? At this point, you have not yet been granted access to the kitchens.
Wendy will just be asking them for all the different recipe books they have, and for someone to read them to her.
Okay, yeah, several of the children bring up exotic recipes that they've had from different lands. What's Birdie doing during this time?
Hiding in a corner because now he's like surrounded by a bunch of dragons, and dragons is tricksy, and he doesn't like.
Roll a stealth check. What's Adrex doing during this time?
Adrex is doing the complete opposite of Birdie and is playing with as many children as he can.
Okay.
30.
30? Adrex, after an hour or so, the game they all want to play is Find Birdie.
Excellent. This sounds like a great game to play.
Adrex is really bad at it, though. I will warn you. Although, let me tell you about this one time when he found this rat hiding in a hole next to 100 different holes and down a hole. Pointed it out after a half a second. It was the most incredible thing I'd ever seen.
After a couple hours, after everybody's had enough to eat, you guys are relaxed, well taken care of. Somebody borked. That wasn't my bork. My bork is back there.
We do a bork share.
Oh, that's right. A young man comes down into the common room. Still a child, but older than the other children here. Maybe 14, 15 years old. And he's dressed in the same kind of finery. He's a little taller than the rest of the kids. But he's wearing some simple armor. He's not decked out in plate, just like a ceremonial breastplate. At his side is a scabbard with a real longsword hanging in it. And he comes down and says that his father has sent him to fetch the lot of you. Have the children been able to find Birdie yet?
We're working on it. Yo, Birdie, we're being summoned.
Birdie just falls from the ceiling.
The young man steps aside so he doesn't get crushed by Birdie falling on him.
I don't weigh enough to do that.
It's like a wet cat.
Please, if you would come with me. He leads you up the hallway, past your sleeping chambers, up past the washrooms, to the metal door, which he opens, and on the other side is a strange oblong room that feels like a shrine. In the north side of it, in this alcove, is a very large stone, what looks like a tomb, a large gravestone. And etched into it is the visage of a half-dragon warrior, holding a shield, again emblazoned with the burning heart, and his other hand holding a flaming sword, standing victorious with the sun shining behind him.
Adrex nods at approval at the flaming sword.
The young man catches Adrex's eye. He says, that is where our father's first son, Naphaneax, is laid to rest.
Adrex nods.
And as he brings you across the first of two bridges into what from the outside looked like a ruined tower, but on the inside looks just as fine and well furnished as the chambers you've just left. There's a stairway, a spiral stair here, the lowest landing that leads upward higher into the tower. You're led across the second bridge into a large living space. There is a large table, circular, in the center of the room, with chairs enough for you all to be seated, and a great golden chair at the head of the table, behind which is a huge painted map of all of the surrounding lands, the lands that you've traveled through. On the table are a wide variety of parchment, quills, ink, various tools for determining shapes and distance. You see little markers made up in the shapes of goblins, orcs, and other various unsundry peoples of the Southlands, all very carefully set to the side in ranks. And the young man bids you all to be seated, and he tells you his father will be along in a few moments.
Raazu takes a seat.
Raazu, you take a seat at one of the sides of the room. How close to the gilded chair do you sit?
Actually, Raazu will sit at the other end of the table opposite the golden chair.
Okay. Back behind you is a large decanter of wine and a flurry of empty tankards. How much did you smoke?
Probably just one pipe.
Okay. Who's sitting closest to the gilded chair?
Wendy.
Birdie, are you sitting in the gilded chair?
I mean, I wasn't going to, but now I feel like as if the pressure is on me to do so.
You do
If you
instinctively know
do,
that this
Raazu
is
will
the
be very
dragon's
upset.
chair.
Yes, no, I'm not sitting in the gilded chair.
And you're not kept waiting more than 2 minutes, just enough time for Raazu to get through half of the tankard of wine before the Great Glimmer arrives. This 8-foot tall man with very elven features and flowing silver hair enters the room, closes the door softly behind him. He walks over to this great window, again, this balcony area looking down over the courtyard, and he draws closed a velvet curtain which blocks out the sun and the sound from outside. And he thanks you all for coming, and he says that he has the pleasure of being Breniar, the Great Glimmer. He looks at Birdie and says, "The little tunneler I know. Would you all do me the honor of sharing the rest of your names?" And at that, he takes his seat at the head of the table in the gilded chair.
Raazu, champion of Osprey.
The pattern which is formed as wind flows over the sand.
Adrex, nice to meet you, Mr. Glimmer.
He seems to be amused at being called Mr. Glimmer. How do Red and Birdie, or how does Red introduce himself? Just Red?
He says, "I'm muted."
Yeah, Fred.
And he goes through some pleasantries. He tells you that if there's anything you'd like the children to bring up from below, you need only ask, and he will send a runner down. But there's a great amount to discuss. A lot of information needs to be covered, and he says he fears only a short amount of time in which to cover it all.
Then by all means, let us begin.
He turns
Birdie.
to Windy first and says, "I'm led to believe there is a pressing matter you wish to raise with me."
Mm-hmm.
Birdie
I was
is
wondering
cool.
how much you knew about the Shadowfell.
And the rest of you see him smile a little. He says, "Are you sure this is the matter you'd like to bring to my attention?"
It seems like the most pressing matter.
He says he knows a great deal about the Shadowfell. That he takes great pains and energies to keep the tendrils of that dark place from reaching into his lands.
Well, I think you might have left something there.
Did I indeed?
And Wendy just stares at him.
You can't. You don't have eyes.
What makes it so unsettling?
Just
He turns back to the rest of you and says, our friend, the pattern which is formed, and he uses Wendy's full, complete name every time that he speaks it. It seems that she is lost for words, perhaps stricken dumb by anger. Perhaps another one of you could bring the matter to my attention.
She speaks concerned of what we assume is one of your children, whom you sent to meet us.
He nods, and he says he remembers her well.
She went further than she was instructed and met with ill fate, near as we can tell.
He says that the further from his protection his children range, the less his ability to exert control over them, the more willful they become. So this news does not surprise him.
We bring back her remains and her effects. Raazu nods to Wendy. Says, show him.
And Wendy puts him on the ground and says, I think you do them ill service, though. She seemed very concerned with our opinions of you. She was a very large fan of yours.
And he laughs a little, not like he's making fun of you, just that he knows something you don't. He says, truly, I would expect all of my children to be fans of me. So what do you do with the bones? And the
Puts them
the sword and
down
cloak?
on the ground in front of the chair.
He says that only a person of great compassion and willfulness of their own would have carried these bones such a long way. He stands up out of his chair and kneels down next to them. And he looks at Wendy and says, truly, I thank you for doing me this service. And he
I
begins
thought you were under the impression that she was not real.
He begins speaking in a magical language that doesn't conform to anything you guys have heard before. I will let Birdie and Adrex individually make Arcana checks, because you're both trained in Arcana.
Is it actually a language?
No.
Okay.
it's a 20,
Oh wow.
23 for
Adrex
Birdie.
got a 24.
You guys don't understand the words either, but Adrex especially, you think you've come across one or two of them before, having carried this elven book of magic. He's speaking magic words that are ancient beyond reasoning. Even more so than the words that, say, Birdie, for example, speaks to create the hunger of Hadar. And he speaks these words as he holds his hands and fans out his fingers over the bones. And you see the bones reform, snap into place. The ash falls away from them as they become clean. And then you see muscle and flesh and sinew start to form on them. But the creature that regenerates is not a small human child, but one of these small dragons with butterfly wings that lays on the ground for a few moments, inert and unmoving, until he finishes his spell and clasps his hands together over the creature, and then it springs to life, and you hear the buzzing of its wings in the air, and it flits happily back and forth between the lot of you at the table.
Adrex's jaw drops.
Birdie's like, I knew it!
He says, to Wendy, says, would you place in me a modicum of trust?
Sure.
I would reward you for returning this very dear object to my home.
All right.
And he bids you stand,
And Wendy stands up.
and he bids you to unfurl your wings. Which even now they're sore and painful as the feathers are starting to come out of the burnt skin, the burnt leather of them.
And Wendy does so.
And he holds out his hand and covers your entire face so that his palm is resting on your beak. And he speaks the word, and 1,000 needle points break out all over your body, very painfully at first. But all of the rest of you watch in wonder as all of Wendy's feathers regrow in a matter of a few moments.
Incredible.
And he withdraws his hand.
Yes, power word feather.
Please, Adrex, feathers.
He tells you that... Well, he explains that his children are not children in truth. They're not living creatures in the manner that you would think of them. Instead, they are but a small breath of his divinity given flesh, so that they may tend to physical matters in his realm, so that he does not have to devote his attention everywhere at once.
But they grow willful as they leave your attention?
They have been known to.
I see. All right, well, what else were we here to discuss?
Seems that.
Way too much to get through in the end of this session. He says that first you're going to speak of your altercation with the prisoner Gadwinax, the Black Dragon. And he seems very, very interested to hear of that, first and foremost.
He seemed a broken creature.
We're not going to actually have these discussions this session, but I'm going to give you the list of topics that we're going to cover with him, so you guys can think about it over the course of the week. Let me double
To our hometowns.
To our home, right? Exactly. Bear with me 1 second. I do not have that notepad open because I.
What I don't understand is how when Destil had his cat on his keyboard, in one of the lines says "You Dawn."
I started typing at one point, but I didn't realize that the cat was there. I was typing in a different window. Like the cat, I didn't realize the cat had typed.
You have more than one
at the enter or
Do you
whatever.
have more than one keyboard attached or something?
Here it is.
No.
I might have put more effort into drawing up this NPC's knowledge than any other in the campaign so far. There are 6 topics he wants to go over with you, so you guys can think about like what questions and things you're going to ask about each, and then other stuff you might want to know of him. The first is Gadwinax, the Black Dragon. The second are the metal men that you fought on the road, the patrolmen. The third topic includes Captain Eyes and the other people awakened to magic. The fourth topic is Ancient Wars and what he calls the Southern Cataclysm. The fifth topic deals with a quest that he's going to send you all on to revive a lich. And the final and perhaps most important of these topics, he would like to discuss Mammon, a vassal of the Lord of Blades. And then he wants to know what should be done with Kefka.
Leave him in his cell for a little while. Let him stew.
Alright.
So it was Gadwinax, the Black Dragon, the Metal Man patrols, Captain Eyes and others that have awakened to magic, a lich, and then Mammon.
Can someone put these into the party chat? So
Yeah,
for the
please.
next week?
Specifically, it's a quest to revive a lich.
Why does that sound terrible? I don't know how I feel about reviving a lich.
It might be because this guy's a dangerous lunatic.
Sounds like
There it
something
is.
my old dad would say.
I'm going to go dark for a few minutes
Adrex,
while I calculate
Go
some
revive this
experience.
lich.
I'm
No,
also
thank
going
you.
to set up a straw poll. And, oops, did we want to do that? Okay. You guys go ahead and think about your blips, and I'll be back in just a few minutes.
Are those all the subjects? I thought there were 6.
That was 6.
There's just 5. 6?
Gadwinax,
only-
the Metal Men, Captain Eyes and others awoken to magic, Ancient Wars in the Southern Cataclysm. Reviving a
Ancient
Lich,
There we
Wars.
go. That's what it is. Thank you.
Mammon,
Keep
a
these-
vassal of the
Sorry.
Lord of Blades.
I'll say Ancient Wars, the Southern Cataclysm, 400.
I didn't hear any of that, Destil. I'm sorry.
He made a Jeopardy joke. It was a very
Sorry,
good
they
Jeopardy joke.
sounded very much like Jeopardy categories when he was listing
Ah,
Now, in my brain, this character is
This is Alex
Elvish
Trebek.
The Roman letter V, despite your best efforts, yeah, that is a number. And what did you wager? Suck it, Trebek.
All right.
Who's most creative today? Hunter of Hadar was really creative, so yeah, I think we
is-
started
yeah,
that
that's-
out.
That is
That was
creative.
never even up for debate.
I mean,
simply going to
Who
happen.
furthered the party's goals today?
Wendy for hooking the dead body all this way, and then immediately calling into question, like, "Hey, you probably shouldn't sacrifice little children." Although I assume there's more of that coming.
Oh, Wendy has met a lot of people who don't think people smaller than them are real.
I barely think Birdie's real, to be honest. Like, I just can't even with him.
Birdie is a figment of Raazu's imagination.
That would be a twist. Who's a badass today?
Oh, go ahead.
Adrex's breath weapon? Oh, actually, no, the orb of... Oh.
Like, I want to give it to, like, I want to
I
give
want to give
forward-
intangibles for punting the ball.
Okay,
I want to give it...
then using the beat of force on the thing to enable the punting of the ball.
Yeah, I'm good with that for badass.
Okay.
And then we'll
All
give
right,
intangibles for just kicking it.
for burning four
For more
blips.
specifically, for burning four blips in order to kick it the best.
Honestly, I would not be. I would be okay with giving that to Ajax just to
For
replenish
most
those
kicks.
blips.
Even if it was like a 5, I would have been like, all right, whatever, because I have a +10 to my athletics.
Adrex has played Kinnick Master and has read the manual of kicks.
So is everyone okay with the Raazu's badass actually going to Ajax just to resupply his blips?
That's fine.
Oh, no, you burned blips today too, didn't you?
Yeah.
No, I think that was me.
Oh.
That was Red who burned blips.
But I still have that +1 bowstring.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta do the other stuff too.
Yeah. I'm almost done with mine. I've been a good person and been
See,
picking them up through the session.
that is what we should do. That is totally what we should do, and I know I should do it, and I totally don't.
All right, it's later than usual because I lost track of time as we were having fun playing with all these children. So who wants to make a case for their blips first?
I'll go.
Wendy, go.
All right, I've got learning new things is never wasted for teaching the children the story of what happened to the girl.
Okay.
Most specifically, hey, this dude does not have your best interests at heart. Good is working for the benefit of something other than yourself. For in the conversation with the dragon bringing up the Shadowfell first, even though he clearly thought that I was going to ask him to repair my shit. I've got monastic tradition redirection, because Wendy is going to use this dragon for every single thing she could possibly get out of him, because he is an incredible resource. I've got our place in the world is to take apart what isn't working and make something that is, for finding out as much as she can about how exactly these children work so that she can get them out of there or at least make sure they're properly equipped. Because this dude clearly doesn't think they're actually people, even though he literally just said, oh, but they gain sentience if they're farther enough away from me.
Is that what he said?
Basically.
Is that what he said, though?
Basically.
Or is that just what you heard?
It's what Wendy heard.
That's what Wendy heard.
That's how Wendy interprets
Just making
it.
sure, because this is being recorded.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Who's next?
Oh, I'm not done. I got, wait, how does that work? For running a ruse on the guards to see if they can commune over a long distance.
What was the ruse?
Essentially saying, hey, no, Red here's our leader.
That was a ruse?
Yeah.
I thought you were just
What?
screwing with them for no reason.
What do you think a ruse is?
That
And there was a reason. It was to find out if they could commune over long distance.
So how does it work?
What?
You know that it
I don't know.
works.
I know
You
they can
how it
commune over long
works?
distance. I guess not.
The flaw is wait, how does that work? Not wait, does that work?
Okay.
Who else wants to go?
I'll go.
Raazu, go.
All right, I got her aspect. When my anger is roused, I trouble thinking, I fear I might do something I'll regret for cracking that whip at Birdie for hadaring everyone again.
I just hate 2 people, and I made sure you were on the edge of the hadar this time.
3 people, you jumped into it.
And that's why Raazu didn't actually beat Birdie because he dove back into his own spell, which is...
What else do you have?
Yeah. I have her ideal, work hard, play harder. I earn my leisure time, and by Osprey, I'm going to use it to my fullest for bathing and chilling, maxing, relaxing, all that good stuff. Here.
Requiring powerful hallucinogens.
Yes.
What else? Anything
Her
else?
alignment, good and evil are subjective distinctions. What matters is keeping to your own ethics for allowing the middleman the opportunity to parlay.
Okay.
And that kind of came to bite us in the ass a little bit.
I don't know that it did you any harm.
Raazu got beat the fuck up in that fight.
Well, that's your job, though.
It's true.
Anything else?
Her bond, sword arm is only the beginning of Greater World, but it is a necessary first step because there's no way she would have been able to handle both of those giant robots because of all the damage she took. She was down to 17 by the end of that combat. 17 hit points from 120.
I think the other one.
And,
the other one, if he had lived another round, was going to charge Adrex, which would have triggered your Sentinel. And then after his movement was reduced to 0, he would have knocked you on the ground and attacked you with advantage twice.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I wasn't. That's why I think putting it in a Pokeball was a better option.
That was pretty good.
And then her flaw, speaking of which, is I take any advantage I can to fillet my allies regardless of the consequence for using that bead of force, which allowed that giant robot to eventually escape. Because after a minute passed, that thing was free, so it could do whatever the hell it wanted after that.
Well, so what were the consequences of doing that?
Who knows? We don't know if anything bad will happen for that because letting these things run away. Like now they have the downloaded combat data on Raazu's Pokeballs now.
Right, who's next?
Adrex will follow up with that.
Go.
Aspect signature style energetic for punting that guy as far and as hard as he possibly could. Because that's the thing you wanted to do.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Bronze, my cool friends and I are making the world a better place. It has fallen to me to try and protect them. Oh dear. The moment Raazu made herself a target as the focus of everybody, Adrex did not hesitate on running up and joining her.
Okay.
And Floss, that sounds like a great idea. When the little boy was just like, hey, I need you to help me open this trap door, Adrex did not resist one iota, because that kid was adorable. Who knows what was underneath that trap door? It could have been anything.
But is he sentient?
The trap door? I have no idea.
No, yeah, we're not sure. Who's next?
I'll go.
Oh, and Adrex.livejournal.
Oh, I haven't read that yet. Birdie, go.
So video first thing
Mm-hmm.
for the last time before I forget it again. My ideal accumulation of magical knowledge is something that makes me most useful to my tribe. I used Hunger of Hadar as cover,
Yep.
so that my party members didn't get perforated by, I don't know how many. That would have been 4 times like 16 arrows, which would have been amusing, but probably ultimately detrimental to our goals.
Yeah. I'm not saying it was a bad idea. I'm just saying Raazu's still upset about it.
I thought it was
Destil,
a
how
great
hard is
idea.
it for you to not say 64 right now?
Because I couldn't do the math. I'm terrible at math. Leave me alone.
No, I was asking Destil if he was having a hard time not cutting in.
No, I'm alright. Let him go.
Focus on the little things, make the tribe stronger any way I can by engaging with the Great Glimmer in the dream instead of immediately running away. And then when I woke up, I immediately said, "Guys, we got to go." And like taking the advice
Okay.
because it seemed like good advice, and that's all I got.
What does Red have for me?
I have my flaw. It's often best to just do what needs to be done. Explaining to the others would be a waste of time for staying hidden the whole first half of the fight.
Okay.
And I have my alignment, neutral good. Survival requires the greatest good for the greatest number for trying to figure out, working with the guards, whether or not like we would be attacked again if we left and came back without bringing gems or whatever. Instead of just, it'll be fine.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. We award 1 blip for the most creative solution to a problem in the session.
That was Hadar. Birdie's Hadar, like no joke. Probably saved Raazu and Wendy.
We give 1 blip to who furthered the party's goals the most.
We give it to Wendy for kind of being the opening salvo with these talks with the Great Glimmer.
Okay. Who was a badass this session?
We gave it to.
We gave it to Raazu for using the force speed.
Yeah.
And we give 1 blip for intangibles.
We gave it to kicking
for using the force speed.
for using the force.
I went ahead and gave you guys experience for that, by the way.
I didn't think you would.
I am genuinely shocked.
I am too.
I almost just spit out my soda.
We did expend a magic item to remove that combat threat, so I don't see why that's outside the realm of possibility.
Raazu takes our straw poll, and I'm giving everybody 1 blip for safely returning the little girl's bones all the way back to Wizard's Folly. So Raazu, I think you got the full Monty. 6, 7, 8, 9 blips. Blips are worth 666 right now, I believe.
I'm level 14 now.
Then blips are worth 833.
833?
833.
Windy.
833.
7 for Windy.
Hmm?
6 for Adrex.
Love that guy.
5 for Birdie.
Best boy.
And 3 for Red. I'm also awarding everybody 960 experience for 48 guards and 2 flying gladiators. Did you guys have fun killing a bunch of CR 1/8 guards?
It's reasonably difficult without a wizard in the party.
Yeah.
Once we realized we could, it was just like, oh no, they go down really easily. Maybe we could do this.
These are just the patrolmen. Don't worry, there's stronger dudes out there.
I don't know.
I was not worried, sir. No, don't worry.
8 what? For blips?
833.
833.
Adrex has never been worried.
Adrex ain't scared.
All right.
And Raazu is immune to worry.
It is
As a
true.
class feature.
And also immune to mummy rot, we found out.
Yeah.
Thanks,
no,
Yashnars.
you were right, Brick Road.
Yeah, I was that felt really stupid.
Did I say you were going to feel stupid for that?
You did.
I think his exact words were, "You're gonna think it's stupid."
Oh, I know. I don't think it's stupid. I think we're stupid.
I think we're dumb, is what the thing is.
I had a lot of fun continually having Wendy and Raazu fail saving throws against all the mummies. Because Wendy was covered head to toe, like she was karateing mummies with her bare hands, and